Welcome back to the deep dive. It is really good to have you here with us. We have a stack of sources on the desk today that are, well, they're heavy.
They definitely are.
Not physically, I mean, obviously it's all digital now, but heavily significant. They paint a picture of a future that isn't, it isn't really the future anymore. It's right now.
Yeah, is the very immediate and honestly somewhat startling present.
So I want to start by trying something a little different today with you. I want you to close your eyes for a second.
Okay.
Well, don't actually close them if you're driving or, operating heavy machinery. Please keep your eyes on the road. But if you're safe, come with me on a little mental time travel trip. I want you to imagine it is February 2026.
Which is exactly where our primary source material is situated, by the way.
Exactly. It's February 2026. It has been roughly, 36 months since ChatGPT and generative AI just exploded onto the scene back in late 2022.
Yeah.
And I want you to think about that trajectory for a moment. Just visualize the curve. It went from this cool, weird experiment that wrote bad poetry and funny limericks to, well, everything.
An operational necessity.
Yeah.
That is the phrase that just keeps coming up in the literature we're looking at today. It's no longer a novelty. It's the engine room of the economy.
Right. It's not just the tech bros anymore. It's
Yeah.
your accountant. It's your lawyer. It's the person scheduling your dentist appointment. It's completely baked into the operating system of the world. And here is the reality check for this 2026 scenario.
Right.
The U.S. Department of Labor, the folks responsible for the entire American workforce, have just dropped a bombshell. It is a document titled Training and Employment Notice 07-25.
Such a catchy title.
I know.
Bureaucracy at its absolute finest.
It sounds like the driest thing imaginable. You
Right.
hear that title and you just want to take a nap. But trust me, and trust us on this document is actually a blueprint for survival. It is the first comprehensive AI literacy framework for the United States. And the premise of our deep dive today is simple. In 2026, this isn't optional anymore. This isn't just paperwork you file and forget.
No, it's really not.
Yeah.
It's described in our notes as a practitioner-oriented blueprint. And what makes this deep dive so interesting is that we aren't just reading the government notice, because that would be incredibly dry.
Very.
We are analyzing a comprehensive breakdown of it, titled The Workforce AI Literacy Imperative Building Competitive Advantage Through Evidence-Based Upskilling by Dr. Jonathan H. Westover.
And Dr. Westover really takes this federal guidance and synthesizes it with hard evidence on organizational learning. He connects the dots between the government mandate and the messy reality on the ground.
Precisely. He bridges the gap between here is a policy and here's how you actually keep your job. So the mission of this deep dive is really fourfold. First, we're going to unpack what AI literacy actually means in 2026. And hint, it is not learning to code Python.
Thank goodness for that. I tried to learn Python once. It did not go well.
You're safe. Second, we are going to reveal the massive productivity stakes involved. We have some numbers from the research that will absolutely blow your mind regarding how much faster work gets done.
Oh, the 37% number.
Yes.
We will definitely get to that. That number haunts me in a good way.
Third, we're going to walk through the DL's 5 foundational content areas, the 5 pillars that every single worker needs to know. And finally, we'll explore how to build these skills when the technology changes faster than a college semester.
So if you're listening to this and wondering, am I actually prepared for the economy of 2026?
Yeah.
Or is my team prepared? Or even is my boss prepared? This is the deep dive for you. Let's jump in.
Let's do it.
I want to start with segment 1, the stakes. Because I feel like for the last few years, we've been hearing AI is coming, AI is coming. It was this looming wave.
Right.
But looking at this source material, the message has shifted. It's no longer a warning. It's a status report. The message is AI is here, and if you aren't using it, you are losing money.
That is the crux of the argument. And Dr. Westover grounds this in what he calls the evidence-based imperative. He doesn't just use anecdotes. He cites 2 specific studies that I think we really need to unpack in detail because the numbers are staggering.
Yeah.
These aren't just estimates or vendor hype. These are measured productivity gains in controlled environments.
Yeah, the productivity numbers. Let's talk about the first one. This is the Noy and Zhang study from 2023. This feels like the bedrock of the argument for AI adoption.
It really is. So let's look at the methodology here. This study looked at professional writers.
Mm.
These aren't people just playing around. These are people who write for a living.
Yeah.
Marketing, copy, reports, white papers, that sort of thing.
Right. Real professionals.
Exactly. They gave half of them access to ChatGPT to help with their tasks, and the other half had to do it the old-fashioned way.
And what was the result?
The group using ChatGPT completed their tasks 37% faster.
37% faster. I want to just pause on that for a second.
It's massive.
Let's do the math on that. If you work a standard 40-hour week and you become 37% faster, that's almost like finishing all your work by Thursday morning every single week.
It is huge. It effectively gives you a day and a half back every week. Or, from the employer's perspective, they get a day and a half of extra output.
But here's the question I always ask when I hear about speed. Did the quality suffer?
Right.
Because usually if I do something 40% faster, it's terrible. I mean, I can write an email in 10 seconds, but it might not make any sense.
And that is the kicker. In this study, independent evaluators graded the work. They found that the quality did not drop. In fact, in many cases, the quality actually improved.
Wow.
But there's a crucial detail in that study that Westover highlights, and it's arguably more important than the speed. The biggest improvements were seen in the workers who were initially lower performing.
Oh, and who were struggling.
Exactly. The high performers, the people who were already amazing writers, the top 10%, they got a little faster, sure. But the quality of their work didn't change much because they were already great.
Makes sense.
But the people who were maybe struggling with writer's block or structure or grammar, the bottom 50%, they saw massive leaks.
So it basically levels the playing field.
It acts as a skill amplifier or an equalizer. It takes the floor of performance and raises it dramatically. It compresses the skill gap.
That's a fascinating social implication. It makes the average worker perform like a top worker.
Exactly. And then there was a second study, right? The Brynjolfsson et al. Study from 2023. This one focused on a completely different sector, customer service.
Right, call centers, which is a notoriously high-stress, high-turnover environment.
Yes. They looked at customer service agents, over 5,000 of them. This is a massive data set.
Yeah.
They found that agents using an AI assistant resolved 14% more inquiries per hour.
14% is still really significant. When you're talking about a call center with thousands of agents, 14% is millions of dollars in efficiency.
Absolutely. But what's interesting is how it happened. The AI was listening to the calls and suggesting answers in real time. It helped the agents find information faster.
Like a prompter.
Yeah, and again, the strongest effects were on the newer, less skilled agents. The AI acted as a coach. It helped the rookies perform like veterans within just a few weeks.
So if you're a company and you're looking at these numbers, 37% efficiency gain for writers, 14% volume increase for support. Training your people on this isn't just a nice to have.
It is likely the highest ROI investment you can make. Think about it.
Right.
If you can take your junior employees who you pay a junior salary and using AI, have them perform like senior employees, that changes the economics of your entire business.
Oh, absolutely.
It changes how you hire, how you train, how you scale.
But in these deep dives, you only get those gains if people actually know how to use the tools. You don't get the gain just by buying the software license.
That is the stick part of this equation.
Yeah.
We talked about the carrot, the productivity. Now we have to talk about the stick. The operational risks of having an illiterate workforce are terrifying.
The source material brings up a classic cautionary tale. I think everyone heard about this back in 2023, but it's worth revisiting as the prime example of what not to do. The New York attorney case.
Oh, yes. The Mata v. Avianca case. The attorney who submitted a court brief citing 6 cases.
6 legal precedents. He needed to prove his point, so he asked ChatGPT for help.
And ChatGPT gave him 6 legal precedents. Verghese Bice v. China Southern Airlines, Shaboon v. Egypt Air. They sounded very real. They had citation numbers, they had dates.
But they didn't exist.
Completely hallucinated, totally made up. And the lawyer didn't check. He just asked the AI, are these real? And the AI basically said, yes, absolutely. And he submitted it to a judge.
And he got sanctioned. It was humiliating. I mean, imagine standing in front of a federal judge and having to admit you cited a case that was invented by a chatbot.
It's a nightmare. But Westover uses this not just to make fun of that lawyer, but to illustrate a concept. Deployment without literacy.
Deployment without literacy.
Exactly. That lawyer wasn't stupid. He was illiterate in AI. He treated the AI like a search engine, a truth machine. He didn't understand that it's a probabilistic text generator. That is a failure of literacy.
And in 2026, the stakes are even higher because the tools are more powerful. If your employees do that with a client contract or a medical diagnosis or a financial report, you aren't just embarrassed, you are liable. You could face lawsuits, regulatory fines, safety
There's
failures.
also the security risk mentioned. This is something I think people do accidentally all the time.
Huge. The data leak concept.
Right? If you don't train people, they will still use the tools because they want that 37% speed boost. They're under pressure to perform. But they'll use them naively. They'll paste confidential client data into a public model. Hey, ChatGPT, summarize this secret merger strategy.
And suddenly that data is processed by an external server, potentially retained, potentially used to train future models. That is a massive breach of confidentiality. If you are in healthcare or finance, that's a career-ending move.
So we have the productivity explosion on one side of the carrot, and the risk of hallucinations and data leaks on the other, the stick. And the bridge between them is this AI literacy.
Correct. And we have to address the uneven landscape here. The source notes that by 2026, the gap between industries is widening. Professional services, finance, tech, they are adopting fast. They have the money and the digital infrastructure.
Right.
Manufacturing, healthcare, retails, they are lagging behind.
And the warning here is pretty stark. It says if you learned AI in 2024 and haven't updated your skills, you are already obsolete.
It is the trajectory problem. Think about it. In 2022, AI could write a grammatically correct sentence. By 2026, it is producing publication-quality multimodal content, video, audio, code, complex analysis.
It's moving so fast. If your mental model of AI is that thing that writes bad emails from 3 years ago, you are dangerous to your organization. You are underestimating the capability and the risk.
So let's define it. Segment 2. Because I think when people hear AI literacy, they panic. They think, oh God, I have to go back to school. I have to learn math. I need to understand algorithms.
And the Department of Labor is very clear. Stop thinking that. That is not what this is.
So what of it?
The definition provided in the framework is competencies that enable individuals to use and evaluate AI technologies responsibly. Note the verbs. Use, evaluate.
Not program, not build.
Exactly. The source draws a distinction between AI literacy and AI expertise. Expertise is for the engineers building the models. Literacy is for the rest of us. It is not AI proficiency, which implies advanced skills, but the baseline.
The analogy they use is the internet in the 90s, right?
It is the perfect analogy. Think back to 1999. To use the internet effectively for work, you didn't need to know how to code HTML. You didn't need to understand TCP/IP protocols or how packet switching works.
No, you just needed to know how to open a browser, use a search engine, and send an email.
Exactly. And today, AI literacy is the same. You don't need to know how backpropagation works in a neural network. You don't need to understand the weights and biases inside the transformer model. You need to know how to prompt the model to get a draft and how to spot when it's lying to you.
And specifically, the framework notes that they are focusing on generative AI.
Yes, because that is the interface most workers face. ChatGPT, Claude, Copilot, Gemini, the tools that generate content. That is where the workforce impact is happening.
Okay, so we know what it is. It's functional. It's about doing the job. Now let's get into the meat of this episode. The Department of Labor framework lays out 5 foundational content areas. These are the 5 pillars that every worker, whether you are a junior analyst or a CEO, needs to master.
And Dr. Westover breaks these down beautifully.
Let's start with Pillar 1, understanding AI principles. Now, you just said we don't need to know how it works, but this pillar says we need to understand the principles. What is the difference?
This is about conceptual anchoring. You don't need to know the math, but you need a mental model of what the machine is actually doing. If you think it's a calculator, you will trust too much. Calculators are deterministic. 2 + 2 always equals 4.
Right, it's a truth machine. If a calculator says 5, you assume you hit the wrong button, not that the calculator lied.
Exactly. But AI is probabilistic. It is predicting the next likely word. It's a pattern matcher. It is looking at billions of words of human text and saying, given this input, what usually comes next?
The source material uses a really funny analogy here. The well-read colleague.
I love this analogy. Don't think of AI as a computer. Think of it as a colleague who has read every book in the library, but has had a lot of coffee, hasn't slept in 3 days, and sometimes makes things up just to keep the conversation going.
We all know that guy. The guy who is super confident, speaks beautifully, but maybe is 10% full of it.
Exactly. And if you ask that colleague a question, they will give you a brilliant answer 90% of the time. But 10% of the time, they will confidently state a fact that is completely wrong because they misremembered the detail or conflated two different books.
So the principle here is understanding that the machine is a people pleaser, not a truth teller.
Exactly. It wants to complete the pattern. If the pattern looks like a legal brief, it will invent cases to make it look more like a legal brief. It prioritizes fluency over factuality.
Yeah.
It wants to sound good more than it wants to be right.
The source suggests a specific training tip for this, showing learners the same prompt 5 times.
Yes, this is a great way to break the calculator mindset. If you type 2 plus 2 into a calculator 5 times, you get 4 5 times. If you ask an AI, explain the strategic importance of AI 5 times, you will get 5 different explanations.
Which proves it's creative, not just retrieving data.
Right, and once a worker understands that, oh, it's generating new text based on probability, they naturally become more skeptical. And that skepticism is healthy. It's the foundation of safety.
Okay, so pillar 1 is getting your head right, the mental model. Let's move to pillar 2, exploring AI uses.
This is about scaffolded exposure.
Scaffolded. That sounds like construction.
It comes from learning science. It means you don't just throw someone into the deep end. You build them up. You provide support structures. The source suggests a progression. You start with low-stakes tasks.
Like what? What is a low-stakes AI task?
Email drafting, summarizing a meeting transcript, organizing a messy list of data. These are high-frequency tasks. We do them every day. But if the AI messes up an email draft, it's not the end of the world. You catch it, you fix it, you send it.
It's safe practice. It's the shallow end of the pool.
Exactly. And it builds confidence.
Yeah.
Oh, this tool actually saved me 10 minutes. Once you have that buy-in, you move to decision support.
Which is
Things like competitive analysis. Read these 5 competitor reports and tell me the common themes. Or draft a recommendation for our marketing strategy.
But this requires human verification.
Precisely. This is where the risk goes up, so the skill level needs to be higher. You're using the AI to inform a decision, not just do a rote task.
One thing the source emphasizes is that this exploration needs to be role-specific. Generic training fails.
It fails hard.
Yeah.
If you tell an accountant, go use ChatGPT to write a poem about taxes, they will roll their eyes and go back to Excel. They will think this is a toy.
Right. It feels like a parlor trick.
But if you show that accountant, hey, paste this messy raw data from the client in and ask the AI to format it as a clean CSV table for Excel, their jaw hits the floor. It solves a real problem they have right now. It has to be relevant to their actual pain points.
And part of exploration is also learning what it's bad at.
Yes, knowing the limits. It's bad at precise math, usually. It can struggle with complex logic puzzles. It's bad at current events if it hasn't been updated. It's bad at nuanced ethical reasoning. You have to learn where the tool breaks so you don't rely on it for the wrong things.
Okay, let's move to the skill that I think everyone talks about, but very few people actually do well. Pillar 3, directing AI effectively. Or, as the cool kids call it, prompt engineering.
The phrase prompt engineering makes it sound technical, but Westover argues it's really just communication skills. It's about being clear. The source is very clear. Prompt quality is the #1 predictor of output utility.
Garbage in, garbage out.
Exactly. If you give a vague prompt, you get a vague answer. If you give a structured prompt, you get a useful answer.
The outline gives us a specific template. I love templates. Let's walk through the simple prompt structure provided. It has 4 parts.
Right. Role, task, context, format.
Okay, let's unpack those. First, role.
This sets the persona. Act as a senior marketing analyst. Act as a cynical editor. Act as a sympathetic HR manager. This tells the AI which part of its massive database to prioritize. If you don't set a role, it defaults to helpful generic assistant.
Which is boring and often too vanilla.
Exactly.
Okay, second is task.
This needs to be an active verb. Summarize, draft, analyze, critique, rewrite, be specific. Don't just say, what about this report? Say, summarize the key risks in this report.
Third is context. This seems to be the one people forget most often.
Is the context blindness problem. The AI does not know you. It doesn't know your boss hates passive voice. It doesn't know your company is trying to cut costs this quarter. It doesn't know the project history. You have to tell it. Focus on revenue trends. Assume the audience is non-technical. We are a startup, so keep it scrappy.
And finally, format.
Tell it what you want the output to look like. Bullet points, a table, under 200 words, email format, Python code. If you don't specify, you get a wall of text.
So putting it all together, let's do a bad prompt versus good prompt to hear the difference. Bad prompt, write an email about the delay.
That's terrible. The AI will write a generic apology that sounds like a robot. Dear team, I regret to inform you.
Good prompt act, as a project manager. Draft a follow-up email to the engineering team, highlighting the delay in the beta launch due to the server crash. Use bullet points for action items and keep the tone encouraging but urgent.
Perfect. That prompt will get you a result you can use immediately. The generic prompt will get you something you have to rewrite entirely.
And the source mentions an iterative mindset.
Yes, it's a conversation, not a vending machine. You don't put a coin in and get a product. You talk to it. If the first result is bad, you don't say, AI is stupid. You say, that was too formal. Make it friendlier. Or, you missed the point about the budget. Try again.
It's like coaching an intern. You wouldn't fire an intern for a bad first draft. You would give them feedback.
Exactly like coaching an intern.
Yeah.
And the more you iterate, the better it gets.
Moving on to Pillar 4. And the source calls this the non-negotiable, evaluating AI outputs.
This goes back to the stochastic parrot problem we mentioned earlier. This concept comes from a famous paper by Bender et al. In 2021. They argued that large language models are like parrots. They can mimic the sounds of human language perfectly, but they don't understand the meaning.
So it sounds authoritative.
It sounds incredibly authoritative. It uses perfect grammar, confident tone. It never stutters. It never says,
It sounds like a professor.
right, but it might be spouting nonsense. So Pillar 4 is about systematic verification. It is not optional. The source says verification is now part of the job description.
Like spell check, but for facts.
Much more critical than spell check. If you misspell a word, you look sloppy. If you hallucinate a fact, you look incompetent or fraudulent.
They give a rubric for this. Accuracy, logic, currency. Let's break those down.
Accuracy, did it cite a real study? Did it get the number right? You have to click the link. You have to check the source. Never trust a citation blindly. Logic, does the argument actually make sense? Sometimes AI will write a beautiful paragraph where the conclusion contradicts the premise. It flows well, but it doesn't make sense. And currency is this info from 2021. AI training data has a cutoff. If you ask for the current CEO, it might give you the guy who was fired 2 years ago because that's what is in its training data.
This brings up the expert trap mentioned in the article. I found this fascinating. It says you can only verify the AI if you actually know what you're talking about.
This is the paradox. We want to use AI to help us with things we don't know. But that is where it is most dangerous. If I ask AI to write medical advice and I'm not a doctor, I have no way to spot the hallucination.
So the rule is use your domain expertise to judge the AI.
Yes, you are the pilot. The AI is the co-pilot. If you don't know how to fly the plane, don't let the co-pilot take off.
That makes sense. But it also implies that expertise is still valuable. We aren't all just becoming prompt monkeys. We need to know our stuff so we can grade the AI's homework.
Correct. The human value shifts from generating the first draft to evaluating and refining the final product. The human becomes the editor-in-chief.
Which leads us perfectly to Pillar 5, using AI responsibly.
Ethics and risk. This is the guardrails.
We touched on the data leak issue earlier, but the framework emphasizes policy versus training.
Right. You can't just train people to be good. You need clear rules. Companies need an approved tool list. You can't have employees using random sketchy AI apps they found on Twitter.
That seems like basic IT security.
It is, but with AI, the lines are blurry. People sign up for free trials of new tools constantly. Organizations need to say, these are the tools we vetted. Use these, do not use those.
And the human-in-the-loop principle.
This is the accountability piece. The source is very firm on this. You cannot blame the AI. If you submit a report with an error, you made the error, you press send.
The dog ate my homework doesn't work, and the chatbot wrote my brief doesn't work either.
Exactly. You are responsible for the output, period.
And then there is the bias issue.
This is critical. AI is trained on human data. Human data contains human prejudices, hiring bias, cultural assumptions, gender stereotypes. If you use AI to screen resumes, it might replicate those biases.
So being literate means knowing that bias exists and looking for it.
Yes. It means looking at the output and asking, is this representing a specific worldview? Is it making assumptions?
So those are the 5 pillars: principles, exploration, prompting, evaluation, responsibility. If you can nail those, you are AI literate according to the U.S. government in 2026.
And you are miles ahead of the competition.
But knowing what to learn is different from how to learn it. Segment 4 of our deep dive is about implementation, because the article points out a huge problem: the speed of technology versus the speed of education.
It is the design for agility problem. Traditional education works on semesters or years. Let's build a curriculum, get it approved, roll it out. That takes 18 months.
And in 18 months, we've gone from GPT-5 to GPT-6, and the whole interface has changed.
Exactly. By the time you roll out the training, the screenshots are wrong. So the source argues for modular content.
Explain that.
Don't build a 10-week course. Build micro-modules, little Lego blocks of learning.
Like a 5-minute video.
Yes, a 5-minute video on new prompting features in Copilot v4. If the feature changes, you swap out that one brick. You don't rebuild the whole house. It allows the training to evolve as fast as the software.
And just-in-time learning.
Learning at the point of need. Don't make me sit in the classroom for 4 hours. Give me a sidebar video inside the app when I'm trying to write the email. When I get stuck, show me the help.
That makes sense. It's like having a tutor on your shoulder.
The other implementation strategy they love is the power of champions.
I love this concept. Distributed expertise.
You cannot rely on HR to teach this. HR doesn't know how the engineering team codes. HR doesn't know how the finance team models risk.
So you find the AI geeks in every department.
The AI champions. You find the person in accounting who is already secretly using AI to do their work 37% faster. You know who they are.
Early adopters.
You find them, and you don't punish them, you promote them. You say, teach the others.
AI office hours.
Yes, communities of practice. Hey everyone, I tried this prompt for the monthly report and it failed miserably. Here's how I fixed it. That peer-to-peer learning is faster than any corporate training program. It shares tacit knowledge, the stuff that isn't in the manual.
And finally, experiential learning.
Stop lecturing. Stop talking about AI. Put hands on keyboards.
The sandwich method is a great technique mentioned.
This is a fantastic teaching tool. Layer 1, human. The human writes the prompt. Layer 2, AI. The AI generates the draft. Layer 3, human. The human edits and verifies. You have to practice the whole sandwich. You can't just watch a video about it. You need to feel the interaction.
It seems so obvious, but so many training programs are just PowerPoints.
And PowerPoints don't build muscle memory. You need to feel the weirdness of the AI response to learn how to handle it. You need to see it fail to learn how to fix it.
Okay, we're coming into the home stretch here. I want to look at the future of work. Segment 5. The source material speculates a bit here based on the trends.
The talent impact.
We talked about this idea that AI literacy is the new Microsoft Office proficiency.
It's the new baseline. In 2026, if you put proficient in Word and Excel on your resume, nobody cares. It's assumed, it's table stakes. If you don't have AI literacy on your resume, you don't get the interview.
It's a gatekeeper skill.
It is. And for retention, workers expect this. If I'm a high-potential employee and I go to a company that blocks ChatGPT and offers no training, I'm leaving. I know my skills are atrophying there. I want to work for the company that gives me the superpowers.
Now let's go back to that compression effect you mentioned earlier. The idea that AI helps lower-skilled workers catch up to high performers.
This is the most fascinating and potentially disruptive social implication.
Unpack that.
Okay. In the old world, the difference between a junior analyst and a senior analyst was 10 years of experience. The senior knew the shortcuts, the templates, the precedents. They had the pattern matching in their brain.
Right, they had seen it all before.
Now the AI knows the shortcuts, the templates, and the precedents. It has seen everything before.
Yeah.
So a junior analyst with AI can produce work that looks like senior work.
So the gap closes.
The gap compresses. This is great for the junior worker. They get up to speed faster. They can earn more sooner. They can contribute value immediately.
But what about the senior worker?
That is the question. Does it devalue seniority? If the junior can do the senior's job, why pay for the senior?
Oof, that's the scary version.
It is. But the hopeful version is that it pushes the senior worker to a new level. They stop doing the production work and focus entirely on strategy, relationship building, and complex judgment, the things AI still can't do.
So the senior becomes a super senior.
Exactly. But it definitely disrupts the traditional career ladder. How do you mentor someone when the bot is doing the teaching? Mentorship might look very different when the mentor is a bot.
That is heavy. It redefines what it means to have a career path.
It does. But that is a reality of 2026.
Yeah.
We are reinventing work in real time.
So let's wrap this up. We've covered a lot. The DOL framework, the 37% productivity boost, the risks of hallucinations, the 5 pillars principles, exploration, prompting, evaluation, responsibility.
A comprehensive toolkit.
If there is one final takeaway for the listener, someone who is maybe feeling a little overwhelmed by all this, what is it?
It's that AI isn't coming. It's here. The choice is no longer, do I adopt AI? The choice is strategic agility or obsolescence.
Agility or obsolescence, that is a stark choice.
It is. You can be the lawyer who gets sanctioned for hallucinations, or you can be the writer who finishes their week on Thursday. The difference is literacy. It's not about being a genius coder. It's about being a literate user.
And it's about collaboration.
Human-AI collaboration, not replacement. The human is still the pilot, but you need to learn to fly the jet. You can't fly a jet with a bicycle manual.
Here's my provocative thought to close us out. We talked about that compression effect. If AI allows a junior employee to perform at the level of a senior employee, what happens to the concept of paying your dues?
Now that's interesting.
If experience can be downloaded or prompted, what is the value of time served? Maybe we are moving to a world where potential and adaptability matter infinitely more than years of experience.
I think we are already there. The resume of the future might not list years. It might list capabilities.
Something to mull over. Thank you for listening to this deep dive into the AI literacy imperative. Good luck with your prompting, and remember, check your sources.
Always check your sources.
See you next time.